Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Lollipop and this is the Velotric Thunder 1. This is a 2023 model, so it is brand new and it's got some super cool features like a fingerprint scanner that lets you unlock the bike, 6 color-coded pedal assist modes, a GPS tracker and motion sensor for theft prevention, smartphone app connectivity, and so much more. So in this video, we're going to cover everything on this bike from the unboxing and assembly process to all the components on it like the battery, the motor, the drivetrain, etc. And I'll also cover all the nice details on that app I mentioned. And finally, we'll give it a nice test ride so I can let you know if this bike is worth it. And if you're interested in this bike after my review video, I linked their website down below, so feel free to check them out. Alright, let's start off with some important bike details. For one, this bike is currently retailing for around $1,800 US, and my bike specifically is in a size medium, which fits riders from about 5'6" in height to 6 feet tall. And I'm 5'8" in height, and it fits me pretty well. And for the color, I chose Crystal Black, which I gotta say looks pretty nice with this dark gray to silver fade. And the frame in general looks super sleek since they're going for more of a stealth e-bike look where you can't really tell if it's an e-bike or not. I like some of the details they included here with all of the mounting points for water bottle cages, frame bags, pumps, or whatever else you want to carry on your bike. And I think their logo and other branding looks pretty nice as well. This bike is made out of aluminum to keep the weight down. And on that note, it weighs around 36 pounds, which is pretty good for an e-bike, so I like that. And it has a maximum weight limit of 330 pounds, which is pretty good for a road e-bike. But let's cover that unboxing now before we go over the specs. Overall, the bike was pretty simple to assemble since there is no removable battery, so it was kind of like assembling a normal bike for the most part. They did include a little box of accessories with separate compartments for each part in it, which was pretty nice. And here are all the parts laid out for reference. I'll show some more of the build process here so you can get a feel for how it is, but since the bike comes with some higher end parts, it was pretty easy to adjust the drivetrain and brakes. The only issue I had was actually quite annoying because the plastic dork disc on the rear wheel was rubbing so much on the cassette that it actually kept knocking off the chain. So I ultimately had to use scissors and cut that plastic off, which was definitely not easy since it was a tight space to get into. You could also remove the cassette to do this, but I didn't have the proper tools at home, so this is my alternate method. And this doesn't seem to be a common problem based on other reviews of the bike I've seen, so it may have just been due to shipping damages since my bike box was a bit damaged. But yeah, after that, everything went pretty well. But I do want to mention that setting up the Velotric app with my bike took several hours of work and contacting Velotric support. I guess they had an issue with their previous firmware where the app wouldn't really connect to the bike via Bluetooth unless you go into your phone and forget the bike in your Bluetooth settings and then redo it all. But they have updated this in the new firmware update, so it should all be good now. But if you do encounter issues, their customer support responded quickly and was helpful in getting me back on track, so that was nice. Alright, so for the components on the Thunder 1, let's talk about some frame and app features first. I gotta start with my favorite feature right here in the middle, which is the fingerprint scanner on your bike that unlocks the electric assist so you can start riding. I haven't played around with a bike that has this feature yet, so this is so cool to me. And it's not a complete theft deterrent since it does not actually lock the bike, but it does at least prevent other people from accessing the electric power. And it flashes red if the finger is not recognized, so that's pretty cool. Now there are backup ways to unlock the bike as well, such as via Bluetooth on your phone so you can have a keyless unlocking process, or by pressing an unlock button on the Velotric app. There's a ton more features on the app that let you control various settings and features on the bike, so I won't go into all of them in detail, but as an overview, we have a sensor on the bottom of the bike here so you can track your bike in the app if it gets stolen, and it also notifies you if anyone moves it while it's locked. You can also change your riding mode, track your distance, speed, and battery life in real time, so overall it's a pretty cool smart setup on this bike, and it's been working well for me so far. Moving on, for the battery and motor, we have a 36 volt, 10 amp hour battery that is hidden inside the frame and is not removable, which can be a downside for some people who like removing the battery, but the upside is that you get a sleeker and simplistic design. You can charge this battery via the included cable by plugging it in right here, and you can view your battery life on the top of the bike near the fingerprint scanner. For the motor, this is actually pretty cool since Velotric developed a new motor recently, and they're calling it their E-Series drive system, which has a torque sensor and is one of the smallest, lightest, and quietest hub motors on the market. And it does feel light and quick enough, though in terms of noise, I feel like it does sound similar to other hubs in this price range. Take a listen. For me personally, I do think the noise of the hub could be a little quieter, but I'm sure most people will think it's fine, so that's not a big deal. Now this is a 350 watt motor with 45 Newton meters of torque, so it isn't the most powerful motor, but it isn't trying to be, since they do want this motor to mainly be lightweight and smaller. Now this battery and motor combination allows the bike to reach a maximum speed of 20 miles per hour and a max range of 70 miles, which is great. And this is a class 1 e-bike, meaning it has no throttle, so it only gives you electric assist when you are physically pedaling the bike. But now we can move up to the screen and controller. Okay, so there's actually not much of a screen here since you have a lot of data on your phone app. So you are able to attach your phone directly to the stem here by sticking an attachment to your phone case. But if you don't want to do that, the only information you'll see here is the battery life and which pedal assist mode you are in, which is pretty cool actually, since they are color coded. And you can see this diagram here explaining what each color refers to. And we do have the controller for the bike on the left side here, and that allows you to increase or decrease your pedal assist level from 0 pedal assist to level 5, which is the max. And you also have the front headlight button here. And on that note, the front headlight is fairly bright. It is a little small, but I think you could use it for nighttime riding. The bike does not have an integrated rear light, but they do include a battery operated light that really isn't that bright, but will at least work for cars to see you on the road. For the mechanical components on this bike, I won't cover everything in depth, but for the highlights, I think most of these parts are great. The bike comes with 700 by 38C tires, so a pretty good tire width for staying comfortable on the road. And they have some really nice traction on them as well, so you could take this bike off-road and on some gravel pads. I also love that they included Tektro hydraulic disc brakes on this bike for better stopping power. These brakes work great for this bike, and it's a good safety feature to have, so that's awesome. This drivetrain is nice as well. We have a large 40-tooth crankset up front for maintaining speed, and an 8-speed 11 to 32-tooth rear cassette for a fairly good range of gearing options on an e-bike. We also have a Shimano Altus rear derailleur, which isn't that high-end but works well enough for this bike, and a Shimano Altus shifter up here, which is pretty good and has smooth and reliable shifting. And for some smaller highlights, I think the seat on this bike looks super sleek and nice, and it's pretty smooth and comfortable as well, and the grips feel solid and nice to grab. The only mechanical components I really wish were different on this bike are the pedals. They just feel a little too small for me personally, though I haven't heard anyone else complain about them, so that may just be my personal opinion. But that is essentially it for the main specifications on this bike. Now let's get on it and give it a test ride. So I have the bike off at the moment. I'm actually going to use I could use the app to unlock it, but I'm going to go ahead and use my fingerprint there, because that's more fun for me. Registered it, it's connected via Bluetooth. All right, so I've been riding this bike around for a few weeks now, and I feel pretty comfortable to go ahead and give my final review on it. So bad things first, the app setup was a pretty big pain at first, but after you do get it all set up and figured out, it seems to work pretty well. It still has a little bit of glitches here and there, so it's definitely not perfect, but hopefully they continue to work on that with firmware updates in the future, and they've already released one recently, so I know they are working on it, which is good. But after you do get set up with it, it does have some pretty nice features like the GPS tracker, motion sensor, Bluetooth connectivity, all that good stuff, and it's pretty nice over here. You can tell that I can see the exact speed I'm going at and everything. Let me just click it up to the fastest speed here, and let's see how fast we can go on this thing. So I have gotten it to go a little higher than 20, but the electric motor stops giving you any assist at 20 miles per hour. But it is a road bike, so you can definitely go faster than that. It doesn't really feel as heavy as it may be for an e-bike. Like I've been riding this around, and it feels like a normal fixie, like a steel fixie or something like that, where you can still go pretty fast on it. And you're definitely able to take it on some gravel paths like this, so that's definitely a pretty fun part about it. But besides those cons, this bike is fairly comfortable for a road bike. It does have a slightly more aggressive and forward seating position, but despite that, it's still upright enough to make a good city bike for sure. And continuing on the list of pros, the bike just seems pretty futuristic, and it has a really cool, sleek design to it. Like, you can't really even tell that it's an e-bike right away with that hidden battery design, and just the overall general sleekness of the frame. But then obviously when you see the fingerprint scanner and this other cool stuff, you can really tell how high-tech it is and futuristic and all that. And for the price point, I think it's a pretty good value at $1,800. There's a lot of other e-bikes around this price point that don't have some of the super cool features on here, like the fingerprint scanner, the motion sensor, GPS tracker, app connectivity, all that cool stuff that comes with this one. Granted, this is a road bike and not like a mountain bike, so you can't do as much stuff with it, but it's handling these gravel sections pretty well, and I definitely love riding around on the gravel and on the road with this thing, so that's pretty cool. So overall, I definitely like the Thunder 1 bike, and I do wish some things were a little better, like the pedals, not having to remove that plastic dork disc that interfered with my drivetrain. not having to deal with all the issues setting up the app and all that. But none of these problems are really a deal breaker for me and prevent me from wanting to purchase this model. Like after I've gotten it all set up, it's like pretty nice. And honestly, I love riding it. I think it's super cool. I think it looks awesome and it feels really fun to ride. It's really smooth, it's fast, not as comfy as some other road bikes out there, but it's not really trying to be either. And of course, this is also the first generation of the Velotric Thunder, so I'm sure with more software updates and other mechanical improvements, this bike will really continue to shine and become a lot better. And one thing I actually forgot to mention is that you can actually go into the settings in the app if you have the app and change the riding mode of the bike from city mode, adventure mode, and max mode are your three options. And I had it on city this whole time, but when you put it on max mode, the torque definitely increases and you accelerate a lot quicker, which makes it really cool. It still tops out at 20 miles per hour, but that's just an even cooler feature on here. Like there's so many features on this bike that I haven't gone over just because it would make the video way too long, but you can definitely really play around with it and have a lot of fun. And overall, there's just like so much value packed into this bike because of that app and all the settings on it. But that is it for this video, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching, liking, and subscribing. I hope all of you enjoyed, and I hope all of you have a great morning today. And remember to keep biking out there. There's a cat.